I was 24 years old, standing in my white dress, when my cousin Rebecca looked me dead in the eye and said, "You really think you deserve this happiness, don't you?" The red wine hit my dress like blood. It spread across the silk in slow motion, staining everything I'd saved for 2 years to buy. The reception hall went completely silent. 100 guests frozen. My fiancé Mark stood 3 feet away, his mouth open, unable to move. Rebecca just smiled. That cold, calculated smile I'd seen my whole life but never truly understood until that moment. "Oops," she whispered loud enough for the front tables to hear. "How clumsy of me." My hands were shaking. The wine dripped onto my white heels, onto the floor, onto the dream I'd been planning since I was a little girl. This was supposed to be perfect. This was supposed to be my day. But Rebecca had always hated that. She hated seeing me happy. She hated that I'd found Mark. She hated that for once in my life something was going right. "Someone get her a napkin," my mother-in-law said weakly from table 5. But nobody moved. They all just stared at me, at the ruined dress, at Rebecca's satisfied face. I felt my throat closing. I felt the tears coming. But I refused to give her that satisfaction. "Not today. Not on my wedding day. It's fine," I said, my voice barely audible. "It's just a dress," but it wasn't fine. And everyone in that room knew it. Mark finally moved toward me, but Rebecca stepped between us. "Oh, don't be so dramatic," she said, touching his arm. "It was an accident." "Right, Mark." The way she said his name made my blood run cold. Mark pulled his arm away from Rebecca, but not quickly enough. "An accident?" I heard myself say. "You looked right at me." The wedding planner rushed over with towels, dabbing frantically at my dress, but the damage was done. The vintage lace my grandmother wore in 1952, the bodice I'd hand-beaded for 6 months, all of it soaked in Merlot. Around us, guests began whispering. My bridesmaids huddled together near the gift table, exchanging worried glances but doing nothing. Rebecca laughed. Actually laughed. "God, you're so sensitive. It's always been your problem, hasn't it? Can't take a joke. Can't handle a little mishap." "A little mishap?" My voice cracked. "You ruined my wedding dress." "I ruined it?" "Sweetie, you're ruining your own wedding by making such a scene." She turned to the crowd, her hands up like she was the victim. Everyone saw it. I tripped. My heel caught the carpet. "I'm so sorry." But her eyes told a different story. Her eyes were triumphant. Mark finally found his voice. "Rebecca, maybe you should go." "Go?" "It's a family wedding." "I'm family." She looked at me with mock sympathy. Unless the bride wants to throw family out on her special day. That would be pretty cruel, wouldn't it? I felt trapped. She knew exactly what she was doing. If I made her leave, I'd be the villain. If I let her stay, she'd won. The photographer had stopped taking pictures. The band had stopped playing. My entire wedding had stopped because of her. "Let's just continue," my mother said desperately, appearing at my side. "Sweetie, go change into your reception dress. We'll move on." "Listen to your mother," Rebecca purred. Always so wise. But as I turned to leave, I saw him. An older man in a simple black suit, sitting alone at the back table. He was watching Rebecca with an expression I couldn't quite read. Cold, knowing, dangerous. When our eyes met, he stood up slowly and began walking toward us. The man moved through the crowd like he owned the room. He was maybe 60, silver hair perfectly combed, with eyes that cut through every lie Rebecca had ever told. I'd never seen him before in my life. Neither had Mark, judging by his confused expression. But the way Rebecca's face drained of color when she saw him told me everything. She knew exactly who he was. "Rebecca," the man said, his voice steady and cold. "Still causing trouble, I see." "Uncle James," she whispered. Her confidence evaporated instantly. "I didn't know you were... You didn't know because you weren't supposed to know." He looked at me, then at my stained dress, then back at Rebecca. "Did you really think I'd miss my goddaughter's wedding?" Goddaughter? I looked at my mother, who had gone pale. "James," my mother breathed. "After all these years..." He smiled softly at her, a warmth in his eyes that hadn't been there seconds ago. "Hello, Caroline. You look beautiful." Then he turned back to Rebecca and the warmth vanished. You, on the other hand, look exactly like your mother. Same cruelty, same jealousy, same pathetic need to destroy what you can't have. The room was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. It was an accident, Rebecca said, but her voice shook now. An accident. James pulled something from his jacket pocket. A phone. Funny. Because I recorded you in the bathroom 20 minutes ago, telling your friend Sarah exactly how you plan to accidentally ruin the dress. You said, and I quote, "She doesn't deserve Mark. She doesn't deserve any of this. I'm going to make sure everyone remembers this wedding for the wrong reasons." Rebecca's face went from white to red. You can't, that's private. Private? He held up the phone. Should I play it for everyone? Mark stepped forward, his jaw clenched. Play it. No! Rebecca lunged for the phone, but James pulled it away easily. The bride deserves to decide, James said, looking directly at me. Do you want everyone here to know the truth about your cousin? Every eye in that reception hall turned to me, waiting. My hands were still shaking, wine still dripping from my dress, and everyone was waiting for my answer. Play it, I said. James tapped his phone. Rebecca's voice filled the reception hall through the sound system, loud and clear and absolutely damning. She doesn't deserve Mark. She doesn't deserve any of this. Little perfect princess always getting everything handed to her. Well, not today. I'm going to make sure everyone remembers this wedding for the wrong reasons. One little spill and boom, dress ruined. She'll cry. Everyone will feel awkward, and Mark will see what a weak, dramatic mess she really is. Sarah's voice responded, Rebecca, that's insane. It's justice, Rebecca had said. She took everything from me. Every guy I ever liked, every opportunity, every bit of attention. Today, I take something from her. The recording stopped. The silence that followed was suffocating. 100 guests stared at Rebecca with disgust, shock, horror. My bridesmaids covered their mouths. Mark's mother stood up from her table, shaking her head. My father, who'd been quiet until now, looked like he wanted to throw Rebecca out himself. You're a liar! My Aunt Linda screamed, Rebecca's own mother. You told me it was an accident. Rebecca's eyes darted around the room, searching for an ally, finding none. You don't understand. She's always what? I felt something break inside me. Always been kind to you? Always included you? Always defended you when people called you bitter and jealous? I've spent my entire life making excuses for you, Rebecca, telling everyone you were just misunderstood. But Uncle James is right. You're just like your mother was, cruel. Aunt Linda flinched, but she didn't defend her daughter. Rebecca's face twisted with rage. You think you're so perfect? You think Mark really loves you? He kissed me last month, the room erupted. Mark's face went bright red. That's a lie, is it? Rebecca smiled viciously. Tell her about the office party, Mark. Tell her about the storage room. I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred. This couldn't be happening. Mark grabbed my hands, his eyes desperate and pleading. She's lying, he said. Baby, I swear to God she's lying. But Rebecca was already pulling out her own phone, scrolling frantically. I have proof. I took a picture that night. You were drunk, Mark. You don't even remember, do you? My heart was shattering. My wedding, my dress, and now this? I looked at Mark, searching his face for the truth. He looked genuinely confused, terrified. But was that enough? Could I trust him? Show the picture then, James said calmly. Let's see this proof. Rebecca's fingers trembled as she found what she was looking for. She held up her phone triumphantly, turning it toward the crowd. It showed Mark and her in a dark room, his hand on her shoulder, their faces close together. See? She shouted. See? My mother gasped. Several guests stood up. I felt dizzy, sick, destroyed. But James stepped forward and took Rebecca's phone right out of her hand. He studied the image carefully, then did something with his fingers, zooming in. Interesting, he said. Mark, what's that pin you're wearing on your lapel in this photo? Mark squinted at the screen. That's my company's 5th anniversary pin. We got those in March, 2 years ago. James nodded. And Rebecca, you're wearing a purple dress in this photo. The same purple dress you wore to your sister's baby shower. In February. 2 years ago. He looked at her with cold contempt. This photo is from before Mark even met my goddaughter. Before they were even dating. The crowd exploded into angry murmurs. You tried to pass off an old photo as recent? My father roared. You sick, twisted, I loved him first. Rebecca screamed, and suddenly the mask was completely off. Tears streamed down her face, but they weren't tears of shame. They were tears of rage. I saw him first. I introduced them. And she just swooped in like she always does and took him from me? I never wanted you, Rebecca, Mark said quietly. Not once. Not ever. She lunged at him, but James and my father grabbed her. Rebecca thrashed against their grip, screaming like a woman possessed. Let go of me, let go! You're all against me! You've always been against me. Security guards appeared from somewhere, 2 large men in black suits that the venue kept on staff. They took over from James and my father, holding Rebecca firmly by the arms. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks, her careful composure completely destroyed. This is assault! She shrieked. You can't throw me out! We absolutely can, the venue manager said, appearing with a clipboard. You admitted on recording to intentionally damaging property and disrupting a private event. The bride can press charges if she wants. Press charges. The words echoed in my head. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to watch her pay for every cruel thing she'd ever done. But another part of me just wanted her gone. I wanted to salvage what was left of my wedding day. Just get her out, I said quietly. I don't want to see her face ever again. No! Rebecca fought against the security guards. You can't do this. Aunt Caroline, tell them. Mom, say something! But Aunt Linda just turned her back. My mother did the same. One by one, every member of our family turned away from her. Even her own father, Uncle Richard, stood there with his arms crossed, shaking his head in disappointment. You did this to yourself, Rebecca, he said. I'm ashamed to call you my daughter. Those words broke something in her. She stopped fighting. Her body went limp. The security guards half carried, half dragged her toward the exit. As they passed me, she looked up, her eyes meeting mine one last time. I hope you're happy, she whispered. I hope it was worth destroying me. I didn't destroy you, I said. You destroyed yourself. The doors closed behind her with a heavy thud. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then James stepped forward and raised his champagne glass. To the bride, he announced loudly, who showed more grace in the last 10 minutes than most people show in a lifetime. The room erupted in applause. People were standing, clapping, some crying. The applause washed over me like a wave, but I still felt hollow inside. My dress was ruined. My cousin had tried to destroy my marriage before it even began. And I was standing here 24 years old, wondering how my perfect day had turned into a nightmare. Mark wrapped his arms around me, pulling me close despite the wine stains. I'm so sorry, he whispered into my hair. I should have seen what she was. I should have protected you. You couldn't have known, I said, but my voice was shaking. James approached us, his expression softer now. You handled that beautifully. Your grandmother would be proud. He paused. She was my sister. Did your mother ever tell you? I looked at my mom, who had tears streaming down her face. James and we had a falling out years ago. I was too proud to reach out. Too stubborn. When I heard you were getting married, I sent him an invitation without telling you, hoping he'd come. Hoping we could fix things. And here I am, James said with a small smile. With apparently perfect timing. How did you know? I asked. How did you know Rebecca was going to do something? His expression darkened. Because 30 years ago, her mother did the exact same thing to your mother at her wedding. Different dress, same jealousy, same cruelty. When I saw Rebecca's name on the guest list, I knew history might repeat itself. So I arrived early. I watched. I listened. And I made damn sure I had evidence when she made her move. My mother gasped. Linda ruined my dress? You never told me it was intentional. I didn't have proof back then, James said. Just suspicions. But I learned my lesson. Some people are born with poison in their hearts. They pass it down like a family heirloom. The wedding planner appeared at my elbow, nervous but smiling. Miss, I have your reception dress ready in the bridal suite. And I took the liberty of calling a friend who owns a boutique nearby. She's bringing 3 backup options just in case, all on the house. I stared at her. Why would you do that? Because everyone deserves a beautiful wedding, she said simply. And because what that woman did was unforgivable. Mark squeezed my hand. Go change, baby. Let's turn this day around. But as I turned toward the bridal suite, my phone buzzed in my bridesmaid's hand. She looked at the screen and her face went white. My bridesmaid Jessica handed me the phone like it was a bomb about to explode. The text was from Rebecca. You think you've won? Check your honeymoon reservations and your joint bank account, and wait until Mark's boss sees the emails I sent from his computer. You haven't seen the last of me. My hands went numb. The phone nearly slipped from my grip. What is it? Mark asked, reading over my shoulder. His face transformed from concerned to furious in seconds. She wouldn't. She couldn't. But James was already on his phone, barking orders to someone. Yes, freeze everything under Rebecca Walsh's access. Now, I don't care if it's after hours, make it happen. He covered the phone. Mark, give me your bank login, quickly. Mark fumbled with his phone, pulling up the banking app. His face went white. $30,000. She withdrew $30,000. How? I screamed. How could she access our account? I gave her my login last year. She said she needed to transfer money to her mom for an emergency. I forgot to change the password after. Mark looked like he might be sick. The honeymoon money, the down payment for the house, everything we saved. The room started spinning. This couldn't be happening. This was beyond ruining a dress. This was beyond jealousy. This was theft. This was criminal. Call the police, my father demanded. Right now, James held up a hand. Already done. I have someone tracking the transfer as we speak. Rebecca's not as smart as she thinks she is. He looked at me with something like respect. She made her first mistake when she texted you. That's evidence of intent. Her second mistake was using a digital transfer. Everything leaves a trail. But our money, I started. Will be returned, James said firmly. Trust me. I didn't build a career in financial law for nothing. Rebecca just committed wire fraud. She's looking at federal charges. 10 minutes later, 2 police officers entered the reception hall. Behind them, being dragged back in handcuffs, was Rebecca. Her face was blotchy from crying, her makeup completely destroyed. When she saw me, she started screaming again. You called the cops on family? You called the cops on me? You stole from us, Mark said coldly. $30,000. It was mine. It should have been mine. Everything should have been mine. One of the officers looked at me apologetically. Ma'am, we need a statement from you and your husband. Husband. The word hit me. We weren't even married yet. We haven't done the ceremony yet, I said numbly. She ruined everything before we could even say our vows. The officer looked uncomfortable. I'm sorry, ma'am. We still need statements, but we can wait until after— No, I interrupted. Something inside me hardened. Something clicked into place. I looked at Mark, at my family, at the 100 guests who'd witnessed this insanity. No more waiting. Rebecca doesn't get to take this from me, too. I turned to our officiant, Father Michael, who'd been standing frozen near the altar. Father, can we do the ceremony right now? Like this? He blinked. With the police here? With your dress? I don't care about the dress anymore, I said, and I meant it. The wine stains suddenly felt like battle scars, like proof I'd survived. I care about marrying the man I love. I care about not letting hatred win. Can we do it? Father Michael smiled slowly. Yes, we absolutely can. Mark grabbed my hands, his eyes shining with tears. Are you sure? We can wait. Do this properly. This is properly, I said. Our family is here. Our friends are here. And the woman who tried to destroy us is in handcuffs watching us win. I can't think of anything more perfect. The guests erupted in applause and cheers. The police officers stepped back respectfully. James wiped his eyes. My mother was openly sobbing. and Rebecca, still being held by the second officer near the door, looked like she'd been slapped. "You can't," she whispered. "You can't do this. Watch me," I said. Father Michael took his position at the altar. Mark and I stood before him, my dress stained with wine, his boutonniere crooked from the chaos, both of us shaking but holding each other tight. The wedding planner quickly directed the photographer back into position. "Dearly beloved," Father Michael began, his voice strong and clear. "We are gathered here today to witness a union that has already proven itself stronger than jealousy, stronger than cruelty, stronger than hate." I glanced back at Rebecca. She was crying silently now, defeated and broken. The officer holding her looked like he was trying not to smile. "Mark," Father Michael continued, "do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do," Mark said loudly, clearly, looking only at me. "I absolutely do. And do you?" "I do," I said before he could finish. "God, yes, I do." The room exploded with laughter and tears and joy. Father Michael grinned. "Then, by the power vested in me," Father Michael said, his voice ringing through the hall, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. Mark, you may kiss your bride." Mark pulled me close and kissed me like the world was ending and beginning all at once. The reception hall erupted. People were cheering, crying, standing on chairs. The band started playing without being asked. Confetti cannons went off, and through it all, I heard Rebecca's anguished sob as the police officer finally escorted her out the back exit. This time she didn't fight. This time she just went quietly, knowing she'd lost everything. When Mark and I finally broke apart, breathless and laughing, James was there with 2 fresh glasses of champagne. "To my goddaughter," he said, raising his glass high, "who turned a disaster into the most unforgettable wedding I've ever attended." The party that followed was magical. The boutique owner arrived with 3 stunning backup dresses, and I changed into a gorgeous ivory gown that somehow fit perfectly. We had our first dance. We cut the cake. We laughed and cried and celebrated like nothing bad had ever happened. Around midnight, as Mark and I were saying goodbye to the last guests, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Transfer reversed. All funds returned to your account. Rebecca Walsh in custody. Bail set at $50,000. Doubt anyone will post it. Sleep well. James, I showed Mark. He pulled me close, kissing my temple. We really did it. We really did. 3 months later, I heard through family gossip that Rebecca pleaded guilty to wire fraud and destruction of property. She got 2 years probation, community service, and a restraining order keeping her away from both of us. Aunt Linda divorced Uncle Richard, claiming she couldn't live with the shame. The family fractured, but honestly, we were better off. Mark and I bought our house. We went on our honeymoon to Italy. We started our lives together, stronger for having survived the worst day that somehow became the best day. Sometimes I look at our wedding photos. There's one the photographer captured right after we said, "I do." My dress is stained with wine. Mark's hair is messy. We're both crying and laughing at the same time. It's chaotic and imperfect and absolutely beautiful. It's my favorite picture in the entire world, because it proves that love doesn't need perfection. It just needs to be stronger than everything trying to destroy it. And ours is, ours always will be.